Hello, it is February 23rd, and this is going to be my mini FlossTube number 6, I believe. And I just wanted to give you a quick update on what I've been working on. I just managed to finish my WIPGO goals for the month. So I've been mentioning this quite a lot, but just a quick introduction if you haven't heard about WIPGO. It is a Facebook group, and you create yourself, try to get as little glare as possible. You create a bingo board for yourself, and I know it's really fuzzy, but in each of these squares, I've written a WIP that I have and a goal that I want to achieve. So for example, in square number 1, it says woodland sell, and my goal is to catch up. And so what happens is every month 2 numbers are called, and those are the projects you work on, and you try to meet your goal. And if you don't meet it in the month it was called, that's fine. So in January, numbers 6 and 12 were called. And this month it was numbers 3 and 23. And for me, that was autumn all around, and my goal was to finish half of the chart, which I just finished just now. And then my other goal was to finish 250 stitches on What a Wonderful World. Now, my ability to gauge numbers accurately is poor. So the 250, I think I achieved that in the space of one day, part of one day. So this is the chart, What a Wonderful World. It was a Stitch Mania big start quite a few years back. I am stitching it on a solo fabric by Rolanda Snieder. She's a Canadian dyer. I love the mottled blue. It's actually not showing up too badly. This particular Stitch Mania, what happened was I was so excited to get going that I gridded just about everything. Because I picked the charts before. That's how far I got. 250 stitches basically dealt with most of the empty bits that I had here. Maybe it was here, I'm not sure. One of those sides. I had been debating, so I discovered that the fabric was not square. So I think she used to use MCG textiles, and I've decided I'm okay with that. I'm okay with this one not being square. It does elongate the stitches a bit in the north-south orientation, top-bottom orientation, but I'm okay with that in this case. It's not faces or something that will look really twisted, so that's okay. Yeah, 250 stitches was not a lot, but that gave me time to work on a slightly bigger goal, which was to finish half of Autumn All Around. So I haven't ironed this yet. I was going to, and then I got too eager, and I'm a little bit concerned now that I'm ready to show you, I'm going to see something that I need to do. So I've been stitching this in hand, sort of a modified version of what Stitchin' Mommy does. And what I do is I roll up the bottom and I pin it in place like this, just below where I want to stitch, so that I don't have to really grip the fabric hard, because then I find my hand gets sore very quickly. So, like I said, I haven't ironed this yet. It's not too bad, it's just a bit curly at the bottom. Oh, I should show you the finished thing first. So it's a Glendon place chart, and there is their finish. I think I saw this, there's a few of these being stitched and shown on Stitch Mania and some of the other groups, and I saw it finished in a circle frame or some kind of circular finish, and I actually like that more than this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, octagonal shape. I'm doing a couple changes. So if you look at this red flower motif and then this acorn, they are actually not on center. For them to be on center, I'm stitching over 2 threads. For them to be on center, I had to move these 2, and eventually there and there and there as well. I had to move them over by 1 thread, which meant that I also have to be careful what I do with these beaded motifs. just to make sure that everything stays centered. So I've written notes for myself so that when I pick this up again, hopefully it'll still make sense. I'm also using, for these Algerian eyelets, they're charted to be stitched in this yellowish Kreinik braid that you see in this teardrop here, but I am using this DMC variegated. It's 4122. Try this. It's just a really autumnal type of deal, and I thought it matched well with some of the brighter shades in the chart. So I am done half of this chart, including the beading. Now the reason it isn't just, you know, half is because I didn't want to stitch half of this, half of the acorn, and half of the red leaf. There we go. And same thing here. Instead of doing one beaded motif here and one on the other side, I just did these two. The beads add some amazing texture. They were so satisfying to stitch, and they worked up pretty quickly. So basically in each quadrant you have this bigger 3-section motif, and then you have one by the acorn, 2, 2, and then a 3-section motif again. And then by this red leaf motif, you've got these two. And that's kind of how that works. I'm going to see if I can hold this a bit closer for you. I don't know if I can do this without... Sorry about the lighting. It is evening now, so I don't have any natural light behind me at all. But I think that at least shows you the detail quite well. The beads are a bit of a more pastel-y autumnal colors. They're all Mill Hills. And then you've got these other DMCs. And then these are, where's my hand? There we go. These are Kreiniks here. I'm stitching it on, I think it was a 28 count white chocolate linen. And another change I made is, I was hoping to be able to leave out the back stitching just because I liked the look of it, but this leaf here and this one, they just disappeared into the fabric. So what I did was I went one shade lighter than called for on the brown used to backstitch. So there it is, halfway done. And I thought I would show you the beads as well really quickly. I keep them in these little containers. So there's, it's called nutmeg, and it's actually a pale purple. And then there's soft willow, which is this lovely gentle green, and shimmering bittersweet, which is sort of a pumpkin-y orange, and pale peach, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's kind of like an ecru or cream that's just gone a little bit more ecru-y. That's what I've been working on. My plans for the rest of the week until the next WIPGO goals are chosen, I think, is I'm either going to work on a couple of the small things I have running, or I'm going to haul out some of my bigger WIPGO goals and see if I can get a tiny head start, because some of them are really big. And I know this coming month is going to be a busy one for me. It's going to be report card month. So then I don't have as much time to stitch as I would like. Now, before I go, I just want to show you the back. So over the years of being involved in different Facebook groups, Facebook cross-stitching groups, I have discovered that for some people, the issue of backs is a really sensitive one. And as far as I can tell, it goes back to having been criticized, especially when people were younger and maybe just children, and told that their backs had to be this unattainable, it should look like the front type of deal. And I would say when I stitch in hand, my backs tend to look neater, because then I don't want to travel as far for fear of buckling the fabric. But they're by no means perfect. And when I stitch in frame, I definitely travel more, as long as I'm not worried about a thread showing through. For example, if I would travel from here to here, I wouldn't want that thread to show through the fabric. But apart from that, for example, if I wanted to travel from here to here, I don't see why I shouldn't, as long as I'm not messing up the front. So with the hope of normalizing backs, and some people have a very, they're scared to show their backs, or they find it emotionally really difficult. But I'll show my back. Like I said, it's not awful, it's also not perfect. And I just like to look at it. It's just a different way. Whoops, I think I popped my needle out. Oh no, it's still in there. So there it is. Like I said, not perfect, but not awful. The point I'm trying to make is it gets the job done, right? As long as I'm not messing up the front, whatever happens on the back is fine. These sort of weirdly colored bits are the floss used to attach the beads. So I used a floss that matched the fabric, which I think is 712. I could be wrong. But it's a really close match. So much so that when I was finishing off my threads on the back, sometimes it was a bit difficult to do. So hopefully I'll have a little bit of extra time to stitch tomorrow. I'm going to the dentist first thing in the morning. I developed a wonderful toothache this weekend. Thankfully, I go to the same church as my dentist, and he was able to write me a prescription for amoxicillin, which has kicked in. And it is helping so much with the swelling, which means I don't have to take as much painkiller. And the problem is I almost never take painkillers, so I didn't really know what would work for me. So it took a bit to figure it out. But as you can probably see by the amount of time I'm holding this up here, I'm really happy with how it's gone so far. And I think I'm at that point where it's a good spot to stop, because I'm really enjoying it and I could keep going. But stopping now, I think, will sort of leave it on a high note. Thanks for watching. Thanks to all my new subscribers. I'm really excited to see you joining. And thanks to my faithful subscribers who've come back to watch again. And see you next time.